Hi, this is Scott from SaaS Startup Stories, and today's show is sponsored by ActiveCampaign, the world's #1 email marketing and automation platform and the system that I use to run my entire business. If you'd like to get started with ActiveCampaign and take advantage of the best current promo that they're running, then go over to scottdudley.com/AC and fill out the form. And today, my special guest is Dan Cumberland. Dan is based in Seattle and is the co-founder at VideoSnap, which is a platform that helps users turn various forms of media into shareable video. Dan, you ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready. Thank you so much for having me. I'm just so excited to be with you here today.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to it. All right, so let's start off with your background and what initially got you interested in starting a SaaS company.
Yeah, I love it. I kind of got into SaaS through the back door. I mean, probably a lot of people would say that about their journeys. But I started my career as a youth pastor. I was a pastor of a small church, and through a handful of events, went to grad school, decided I wanted to start my own business. Realized I didn't know anything about starting a business. Started seeking business educational opportunities, which put me in contact with a team that eventually started a private equity firm and started acquiring SaaS companies, at which point they need people to run those SaaS companies. We'd already had a relationship. And so they reached out to me and said, hey, we like working with you. I was like an intern with them at one point. Like, we liked the work we did together. Would you like to do some more work with us? I'm like, well, sure. What do you have in mind? And they just bought this video platform and asked me if I could jump into the deep end and run it for them. And so, without really any background in software, I was at the helm of a video personalization platform. Was there for a few years. It was kind of a trial by fire. I don't know, MBA, I guess you could say, in SaaS. And after I felt like I'd fulfilled my duties. I'd committed to doing 2 years with them. Their goal was to hold it for a year to 2 years and then exit, to sell the company. And they just kept struggling to land the deal. I've got three LOIs signed with them, and ultimately decided I have more things I want to do, which was I wanted to own my projects. That's why I got into entrepreneurship. One of the reasons why is because I like starting things. I like owning things. And so coming out of that, partnered up with a friend who I'd met through the company, who was doing sales at that company, and we started iterating. Our idea was to build a SaaS studio where we'd launch a project or two every year and just kind of see what sticks. That proved to be more challenging than it sounds, especially since neither of us are technical, which we can talk a little bit about that. But we got we're too deep so far. So we have Trust Scout, which is I don't talk about as much as more of his project, but it's a video testimonial collection tool for agencies, and now VideoSnap, which is the content repurposing tool. Both of which have been launched with a different development partner for various reasons. So that's the long-ish story of how I got into SaaS. Definitely didn't expect to be here. Didn't go to school for engineering or product or anything like that, but very much in that world. Product is kind of my emphasis, I guess, in the teams that we run is really the product owner and CEO often of these teams that we're building.
Yeah, I see. All right, so with VideoSnap specifically, was that bootstrapped or did you get VC funding for that? Tell us how you got that business off the ground.
Yeah, it was 100% bootstrap. So we'd already had a little bit of income from the other project, but partnered with a development team. They gave us access to their equity partners with us. We get access to their team kind of at cost. 923.co is that company. I've since actually continued on with them in a product strategy role, which is kind of fun. So we're collaborating in more ways than this. But that's one way that we kept our costs down. So they're equity partners with us. So it's my business partner, Adam, myself, and then 923. But it's all self-funded, but it makes it much easier by the fact that they are partners in it. So that's how we got it off the ground. We've talked about maybe bringing on some doing some sort of a raise to kind of move quicker in the market. I feel like we're at the right product at the right time as far as content repurposing, the goal, the output of VideoSnap, which I know we'll talk about, but it's shorts, video shorts. So, YouTube shorts, TikTok, Reels, all these things that are really hot right now in the market. So that's one conversation that we're having is like, if we had some more funds, we might be able to move faster and capture more of this market while everybody's kind of moving in this direction. But as up until this point, everything is bootstrapped as we go.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah. All right. So is there anything you would change about your approach if you had to do it all over again?
Oh, man, that is a good question. Honestly, I've really loved so much of how we've gone about it. I do think like Bootstrapped, there's been times when I've looked to our projects as our primary income. Other times I've been, taking income from other projects, have some real estate, some other businesses in my business portfolio. And it's definitely easier to do, in my experience, to bootstrap when you're not looking to fund your whole family, your whole lifestyle off the back of your business, unless you have a really, really big runway. And so they're like, looking back, I would think, they're some of the harder seasons of my life, or of the journey rather, is when I was extracting more from the business, wanting it to fund more of my lifestyle than reinvest the money. The business do best when we're able to put more money into it to capture more market share, just like we were talking about. So I look at, like, looking back, I don't know that there's anything that I would change, but I think that I would just want to go into it just a little bit more eyes wide open. The reality is that SaaS is hard. And I think that a lot of the gurus, SaaS gurus and business gurus in general, try to make it sound easy, that you do this or that, and then you'll just have these reoccurring subscriptions, and then you can work from anywhere in the world and run your business on 4 hours a week. And in my experience, that's not really the case, at least not yet. And I just don't think that is going to be the case. And so I feel like just going in, I think really, I guess where I take that question is, what I would do differently is give myself a little bit of a dose of wisdom to say, this is a long journey, and you need to approach it in a sustainable manner. And I think that speaks to some of the stress, the financial stress that I've been at different points. You need to approach it in the manner with the mindset that this is going to be a long journey, and so you need to choose how you're spending your days in order to set yourself up for to make a sustainable life in the interim, because the future may never come. You may never get that, retire on the beach kind of business. But right now, life is happening, and so enjoy the process.
Yeah, so you're not going to expect to be rich next week. That sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing, is like anyone who makes it sound simple is selling you something. And that's really one of my big takeaways from being an entrepreneur for the last 12 years. It's not easy to start a business. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. And it's not. And so if someone's selling you the story that it is easy, then you know that's they've got something else up their sleeves.
Yeah, agree. All right, so we've already discussed that you're a non-tech founder. So just curious, how have you managed to build 3 software companies with little to no tech skills?
Yeah, great question. It all comes through partnerships. I kind of feel like partnerships are my superpower to some degree. Maybe people is my superpower, or empathy and connection. But that's really what it has come down to. So my business partner, Adam, and he's a sales guy. I'm more skilled in operations and marketing. And when we decided we wanted to start building some software, started looking around, like thinking about how we could do this. First, we funded one ourselves. And the nature of software, in my experience, the way we launch, we come up with a minimum viable product, then we try to get users, and then inevitably that changes the product. And I think that's the iterative approach to software is essential. But with this first, we funded, we spent, it was in a no code app. So, they were able to build it pretty quickly, but it still cost us 10 to 15 grand. I don't even remember. And then we still, we got to the end, and it was still not quite what we needed it to be. There were other features. And then it just felt like we were just constantly having to feed it more money. And so we knew that, and ultimately we decided to sunset that one. It just wasn't gonna get us where we wanted to go. So we knew, with that kind of war story under our belts, that we needed to have a different approach. We needed to have a team, a development team that was more agile along with us. So started thinking about how could we find someone to fill that need? How could we find someone who could possibly build along with us? We had a former client, so we were doing some sales funnel building for some SaaS companies at that time. And a former client who she'd left the team that she was running the company for, but she's a developer, connected with her and turned out she was looking for a new project. We were looking for someone to come along and build stuff with us. It was kind of the right person at the right time. So we built Trust Scout with her. She ended up moving on to another project, but then wanted to follow a similar model. Find some people who can be in the trenches with us, who can help us iterate on the product as we go. And that's where we found 923 and that's how we've gotten as far as we have without being technical, without being the one doing the code, reading the code, writing the code all along the way.
Yeah, I can't code either. Got no idea, so I can relate to that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's not something that I really got any desire to learn either. I'd rather be on the other side of it.
Yeah, I mean, if you in an alternate reality, I could see myself really enjoying it. My brother's a developer, he's a CTO, kind of runs in the family. My mom was an accountant, my dad was an engineer. So like I've got a little bit of that, engineer mind, in me. Yeah. But I was always maybe I was interested in music and people and acting and like all these other things that maybe didn't fit the mold as much. So in another reality, maybe if I had another lifetime to live, I think it'd be fun to try to learn, but it's just not for me at this moment in life.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so here's one that I'm looking forward to. How did VideoSnap reach 45 paying users before the public launch?
Yes. So this is one of our pieces of the secret sauce, because I see a lot of people, especially online, especially on Twitter, there's a lot of people in the indie hacker realm, people who are building their own SaaS, who really struggle with that, going from 0 to 1, getting that first paying user, and then after that first paying user, start continuing to build that user base. And something that we've done really well with both of our products, both Trust Scout as well as VideoSnap, is bring on like quick out of the gate launches. And the way that we've done it is first through partnerships. So looking around in our network and in online and seeing who has the types of users that would most benefit from our product. So that's the first question. Secondly, how can we position our product in the most appealing way to for those users? And then thirdly, set up a sales event where we can present our product to those users. What that has looked like for us is doing joint venture webinars. So just for people who might not be familiar with what that looks like, joint venture is another way of saying we split the earnings. So we do a live training that's usually teaching something related to business, presenting some problem that the tool helps solve, and then giving a really great way to solve it using the tool. So the person comes away having learned something about the market, learned something about their business, but then also has the opportunity at the end of the webinar to buy our solution to their problem. And so in some ways, typically when we think of SaaS, we think of going to a website. You go to a website, you see the free trial or whatever it is, and you opt in, and then try it out and then buy it. It's a very different user experience than that, which is you go to a training. The training for VideoSnap might be about gaining traction and taking advantage of the algorithms on social, or about how to show up with authority to be everywhere, like Gary Vaynerchuk, how to make basically unlimited content for social without spending any more time on it. And so you join because it's speaking to a business problem that you have. You want to grow your authority, you want to grow your reach on social, and you need to do it without spending time and money on it. So we're going to talk about that. So we present all of some of the trajectory of social media, how all platforms are moving towards short form video. We talk about how we're all already making some content, just like we're doing here in this conversation, but it could be other trainings that you're doing, podcasts you're recording, conversations that you're having. So you're already making this kind of content. You don't have to create more content. It's just a matter of packaging that content so it does well in the algorithms, and all the platforms are elevating and giving more attention and putting more eyeballs towards short form video. So now is the time to get your content into the short form video algorithms. And so we talk about how to think about your content, how to find those great moments, or like those aha moments that would really do well. And then we show how VideoSnap works. We do a software demo and say, you can do this with any tools. You can repurpose your content using whatever you're already using to edit video. You can hire a video editor. You can hire a done-for-you service, et cetera, et cetera. But VideoSnap also makes it very, very easy. We show how it works. And then we give people an opportunity to join on an annual plan. And those annual plans are the same as what we have on our website, maybe a little bit of a discount on top of that. But then added on to that plan, we have a training where I get on and I walk them through everything about the platform. I talk to them about content and how to think strategically about their content, and also how to build a business that does this for other people if that's of interest for them. So we're able to, by using that strategy, creating a presentation like that, before we even had our website was basically just like an opt-in form saying repurpose your content. And it had just a very simple, add your email to the list. Before we had a pricing page, before we had our free trial funnel set up, any of that stuff, we were able to pass 45 paying users using that method. So we approach people that we know. We know a lot, since we've been at this for a little while. We know a lot of other businesses, software companies, who have lists of users and prospects that they'll mail offers to. And so then we would do this value add training where they're able to give extra education to their users, that users feel like they're benefiting from it just from coming on. And then they also have the opportunity to buy our software and join us.
Cool. Yeah, it reminds me a bit of Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels. He does a similar sort of strategy to that.
Exactly.
If you're familiar with him.
Very much following his playbook. His Expert Secrets, I think is the name of the book, is a great book on how to build a webinar. Yeah. I saw it up there behind you. I saw you had the whole suite. But yeah, that's a great book for people looking, who might be listening, who are interested in learning more about how to put together a sales presentation like that. Expert Secrets is a great resource.
Yeah, I did actually work there for 4 years as well, so I know I'm pretty familiar with it. Yeah.
Very nice. That's great.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so let's pivot now and talk a bit about the VideoSnap product and how it helps users create viral-ready videos in 4 simple steps.
I love it. Yeah. So the way VideoSnap works is it is for repurposing your speech-based content into viral-ready videos, as you've said. So the way the platform works is you upload a long-form piece. It could be a podcast interview like this, either just the audio or audio and video, or it could be a talk, even an audio book, a TED Talk, a webinar training or something like that. You upload the full-length piece. The software transcribes it, so you can quickly go through and find those aha moments that really jump out, that maybe inspire, maybe get people riled up about something. The algorithms like short content. And by algorithms, I mean people. People like content that's very engaging and is quick to consume. YouTube Shorts, for example, can only be 1 minute or less. Some of the other platforms like Facebook Stories, Instagram Reels, I think they need to be 10 to 15 seconds or something like that. So very quick, little tidbits, little snacks, if you will. Yep. Not a whole meal. You just want a little taste. And so you go through and find that quick little blurb that someone said, and you can just highlight the text in the transcription. So it makes it easy to find. You just highlight the text, hit one button. That software then pulls the source content, so the video and or audio that corresponds to that moment, and then breaks it into these segments. If it's a video, it'll always start with the person talking. We assume that since it's speech-based content that we're optimizing for, that's going to be someone talking to the camera. And then it cuts from that to some B-roll that's sourced via AI that matches what's being talked about. So it might be me talking to the camera here, and then it cuts to, maybe since we're talking about people being on podcasts, it cuts to a video of someone talking on a microphone, or maybe producing audio or being on a stage, etc., to produce a text over video style video that's favorable for the algorithms. It's favorable for the viewer because it's more interesting than just having someone talking to the screen. And so it has the text on the screen, text over the footage, and then it cuts every few seconds to another clip that's all sourced for you. You can go in, make all kinds of style changes and things like that to make it, picture perfect if you want, but just with that one click of the button, you get in the ballpark, and then it's ready to be shared, already optimized for whatever format you prefer, vertical, horizontal, square, and ready to be shared on social.
Oh, so it can also do the vertical.
Yes,
awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. So as you're going through, when you click that button, after you highlight, you choose which format, which aspect ratio you want to use, and then it does the rest for you.
Excellent. Gee, sounds pretty cool. Because I've just actually noticed the YouTube Shorts recently, and it's hot at the moment. You're right.
Yes. Yeah, and pretty much, I mean, you look at like where all the platforms are going, just like when you go to Instagram or Facebook, right at the top, they have their stories, right, which are short videos or sometimes images, but all the platforms are moving in this direction. I really think it's the future of social, and so it just makes so much sense to ride the wave that's coming, right? Get your content that you're already making into the places where people are going to find it, so you can grow your authority, grow your reach, find new podcast listeners, find a bigger audience for the work that you're doing.
Did that start on TikTok, do you reckon, and then everybody's copied that? Is that where it's come from originally, or?
Yeah, I kind of think so. I feel like I would have to look at the timelines when the features were released. I think maybe Facebook had already started with their stories at that point, but I feel like TikTok has definitely accelerated if they didn't start it. Maybe Snapchat as well. I know Snapchat kind of feels like it's fallen out of favor a little bit, but TikTok I think has been the big impetus, just because the algorithm with TikTok is so much stronger, and how it just learns what you like and don't like, and just keeps feeding you, feeding you according to what it sees you engage with. And that's why this is so powerful, because you see content that gets posted to TikTok. And I have friends who just, they're just normal people, and they just posted some random thought on TikTok, and then it gets thousands of views just like that. And so if you're able to take your podcast and put it in a place where it can get thousands of views, all of a sudden you're gaining so many more listeners than you would otherwise.
Very interesting. Okay, so in your opinion, what are the many hidden $1 million mistakes that SaaS founders unknowingly make? This is a good one.
I love this question. Such a good question. So I've already alluded to it a little bit. It's about pace. I think that when we think of $1 million mistakes, probably places our mind go is like, partnerships, or like maybe a bad deal, or like whatever it might be. But I think the most expensive mistakes that SaaS founders make are burnout, all related to going too hard, too fast, and not building their business in a sustainable way. We become entrepreneurs to have a life with less stress, with more freedom, and making that, where we make more money, or at least have the possibility to make more money, but then often end up with none of those things, in a bit of a prison of our own making. We quit one job and now have 20 jobs. And so then we're sacrificing ourselves to a day-to-day life that we don't love in order to gain a future that we may never realize. And at what cost? Eventually, if we're pushing too hard, if we're hustling it out too hard, eventually something will give. Your health, your relationships, your just stamina and like willingness, desire to go on, your hope that it's going to work. The path is hard. And so what happens then, the $1 million mistakes that we make, is by going too fast, too hard, and not pursuing a healthy balance in our approach to our business, we end up either losing something that costs even more than $1 million, like our health, like our mental health, like our marriages, our families, our relationships, or even our business itself, because we're gotten to a place where we can't sustain it, so we sell or walk away just because we say I'm done with it. So it's something I'm super passionate about with the Meaning Movement, my podcast. I talk about this idea of balance in the entrepreneurial journey, and I'm working on an accelerator specifically helping entrepreneurs who are on the path build this more balanced approach in their lives, so that we don't make these $1 million mistakes.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so how do you approach reducing churn and turning your customers into raving fans?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it really comes down to paying attention to what they're asking for, what they need, spending a lot of time in support. If you go to VideoSnap, there's a little chat widget. If you type in there and send a message along, I have one team member who he mans that, but as much as possible, I'm reading that, often responding myself to that. So staying as close as possible to the customers and their needs. So then when we see they're asking the same questions, sending Loom videos of like something that's not working in the software or not working for them because they don't understand how the software was built, that means that we need to do better education. We need to do a better job of holding their hand and walking them through the process. Anytime a user churns, I assume that that's because of it's our fault. It's not because they didn't find the software useful, or that it didn't meet their needs, but that we didn't show them how to use it in a way that would fulfill their expectations, or it maybe didn't do its job well enough and they found a different solution. And so for us, that's where it starts for us, is looking at why users are leaving, and then doing as much as we can to be there for them, assist them along the way, and learn from them so that we can make the platform better.
So do you have like a cancellation process where you ask them questions, why have you cancelled, or something along those lines? Yeah.
We do. We have a form that we ask people to fill out, not as like a hoop that they have to jump through, but as a way to gather some of that information from them. Often we kind of know, people have asked a few questions and we can tell that they're frustrated, and then they'll cancel. But some people don't. They're just in there, and then they send a cancellation message. And then sometimes they'll send their cancellation message. You'll ask them to fill out a form. They'll say no. And so then we'll just cancel, because we don't want to make it harder for people to cancel. That would just create more friction between us and our customers, and more ill will. But that is one of the tactics that we use.
Yeah, makes sense. Cool. All right. So what's your favorite business book?
A couple come to mind. Traction is one of them, which is just the EOS system of goal setting and ownership of different aspects of the company. I feel like is just crucial. A lot of great businesses I know run, on the EOS system that's outlined in Traction. The other one, which is maybe less of a business book that came to mind as I was thinking about, knew this question was coming, but it's more just about finance, is Cash Flow Quadrants by Robert Kiyosaki, which is from the Rich Dad Poor Dad series. So it's a little, he's obviously a real estate entrepreneur, but it's a really interesting way to think about money as earned income and as an investor, as I forget all of the categories, but it really helped me reframe how I think about how money flows in and out of my life, in a really helpful way that I think business owners should be thinking about. Yeah,
awesome book. I've also got the Traction book, but I haven't got around to reading it yet. That's the only problem. I've got too many books to read.
Yes, right.
Yeah,
it's a doozy. I found it hard to get to, because you would read a section, and then you're like, I got so much work to do.
Yeah, I'll have to get around to it eventually. All right, so just to wrap up, where can people go to find out more about VideoSnap?
I love it. Yeah, just go to VideoSnap.io. We've got a great free trial where you can get in and try the software. You'll as soon as you sign up, you'll see a walkthrough filmed by me where I show you how it works, and then you can use most of the features are available there. There is a watermark on the free trial, and then you can just upgrade to remove that if it scratches your itch and you find it to be useful. And then I would love to just reach out to anyone who's interested in building some products. As I said, I'm doing product strategy with 923, and if anyone has an idea for something that they want to build, wants some more support along the journey, would love to chat with them about that. And you can just reach out to me on LinkedIn for that as well.
Perfect. All right, excellent. Thanks for coming on the show, Dan. I really appreciate it.
Love it. It's so great to be here. Thank you so much, Scott.